On Wednesday night, we're going to have our final debate of the season. It is a U.S. Senate debate between Doug Bolduc, the Republican challenger who is batshit fucking crazy, Maggie Hassan, the Democratic incumbent in New Hampshire. GOP's New Hampshire Senate nominee repeats hoax that kids are using litter boxes in schools. Because of course he did. Spoiler alert, this is completely 100% false. There are no litter boxes in schools for kids identifying as cats. That's not a thing.
Fuzzies and Furries is what he called it, saying that kids in
Fuzzies and Furries. Fuzzies and Furries.
You live in sexual anarchy?
the classroom are identifying as cats and using litter boxes. Bolduc is, obviously the Senate nominee in New Hampshire. This is a close race. He's a former Army general. So this isn't just, some guy on the street. This claim, has been going around. I'm sure some of our viewers have seen it. There's not any validity to it. But, it's been repeated. He said it on a campaign appearance on Thursday. And let's just take a listen to what exactly he said.
They're putting litter boxes, right? Litter boxes for them. And let me ask you, these are the same people that are concerned about spreading germs, yet they let children lick themselves and then touch everything. And they're starting to lick each other.
The children are licking each other, ladies and gentlemen, and they're going up against, they're like rubbing up against tables and shit, getting their scent on everything. Oh my god. I hate it here. I hate it here. Right-wingers are absolute morons. Let's hear that one more time. Let's hear that one more. I can't believe I'm having to hear this from a Senate candidate.
They're putting litter boxes, right? Litter boxes for them. And let me ask you, these are the same people that are concerned about spreading germs, yet they let children lick themselves and then touch everything. And they're starting to lick each other.
So he's not the
And then they're starting to lick each other. What has the world come to? I'm stunned. I'm fucking stunned.
the only candidate in the country who has actually been saying this. In both Minnesota and Colorado, the nominees for governor in those states, the Republican candidates, have themselves spread the claim. This has been repeatedly shot down by fact checkers, by news organizations.
By the Board of Education of the school that he was talking about.
There's been, dozens, maybe even hundreds of school districts across the country who have had to come out and say, no, we are not putting litter boxes into the bathrooms for children who identify as cats. We reached out to his campaign. We asked them on Friday and then again on Saturday for any evidence they've seen about litter boxes in schools, letting them know we were going to do this story, and we did not hear back.
Well, CNN is fake news. He's a retired Army Brigadier General. Challenging Democratic Senator Maggie Hassan. Made the comments while speaking to supporters in Northampton. Furries and fuzzies in the classroom. Oh. They have it rated as tilt Democrat right now. I did think Maggie Hassan was slightly in the lead in the polls. But when it comes to polls, we got to take those with a grain of salt, because apparently Republicans are flooding the media with all these polls favoring Republicans, skewing the polling average. Political expert tells media to stop getting played by Republican polling averages flooding the zone, which makes a lot of sense. And if they want to depress the vote, that would be something they would do. Two major sources of the political rankings include Real Clear Politics and 538, both of whom average out public polls done for campaigns. According to Democratic political expert Simon Rosenberg, the polls they're pulling in to generate those averages are leaning more Republican, leading to averages to be skewed more conservative. And it could also be a fact of the polls were slightly off in favor of Republicans in 2016, and they overcompensated since. That is possible.
Tom Bonnier, CEO of Target Smart, also joining us at the moment. Hey, Terrence, let's kick it off.
Let's kick it off.
Kick it off with what Shaq was reporting. Early voting, according to NBC News, we have about 22 million in so far in early voting. How big of a deal will it be this election? Clearly, 2020 was a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. You know, this is an unprecedented election, and we've been measuring or setting expectations based on precedent of what happens when the governing party loses seats in the midterm election. But the truth is, this is just unprecedented. The surge in 2018 that changed the electorate, injected a lot of young people, a lot of people of color that continued in 2020, and we are seeing those same voters participating at extremely high levels in early voting, where records are being broken in turnout. We do see 13% higher turnout in early voting participation, but there is some lag amongst young voters nationally. Yeah. With one exception, that's what we're seeing in Georgia, where even young voters are exceeding their 2020 early vote turnout.
Yeah, really interesting here. You know, Tom, 70% of the votes that were cast in 2020, again, not in person, so this is an important consideration to make. And so far of that 22 million that we're talking about, according to NBC News, it's the majority is 65 or older. So it goes back to the youth vote that Terrence was bringing up.
Yeah, you know, so it's interesting. The early vote is older. In 2020, it was a little bit younger because of those pandemic changes, frankly, to the voting systems. But what we're seeing at this point, when you look at the polls, younger people are overwhelmingly say they're going to shift back to election day. You know, like you said, over 100 million people voted before election day. It's not going to be that high. It'll still be very high. But the people who are most likely to shift back to election day voting are those younger people. So Democrats are certainly looking at the early vote, feeling good about it, but also counting on the youth vote to come out big on election day.
And who will surprise who, R or D, right? Florida Senator Rick Scott predicting a rude awakening for Democrats this morning on ABC. Here's his take on the state of the midterms. Take a listen.
Yeah, I don't want to hear from Skeletor. Good thing that cut off there. So Mock saying the Dems are still going to lose 1 or 2 seats. What races? I don't know what races they're going to lose. I saw Weigel on Majority Report on Friday,